Good day. Today, I will discuss to you the GHS or the Globally Harmonized System of Classification and Labeling of Chemicals. This presentation is prepared by Engineer Albert D.C. Evangelista and narrated by Carlo Igico. First, according to Dole Deputy Order Number 136-14, Series of 2014, entitled The Guidelines for the Implementation of the Globally Harmonized System (GHS) in Chemical Safety Program in the Workplace. In its section 4.8.1, it says that the employer shall ensure the development, implementation, and the monitoring of the workplace policy and the program on safety in the use of chemicals, which shall be disseminated to all concerned. The Globally Harmonized System of Classification and Labeling of Chemicals (GHS) is an internationally agreed upon system created by the United Nations beginning in 1992. It was designed to replace the various classification and labeling standards used in different countries by using consistent criteria on a global level. Presented is an example of GHS pictograms, such as flammable, corrosive, explosive, compressed gas, oxidizing, toxic, health hazard, harmful or irritant, and dangerous for the environment. On Dole Deputy Order Number 136-14, in its section 4.8.2, it says that the employer shall ensure that all chemicals are properly labeled or marked, and that accurate safety data sheets are provided in accordance with the provisions of GHS. On Section 5C, it states that the safety data sheets (SDS) shall be well communicated and made available to the workers, and it shall be have 16 sections containing the minimum information as the outlined in this section. In section 6J of the provision, it says that a written emergency procedure should be posted in the workplace and communicated to all workers in the area. Appropriate and adequate emergency equipment and well-trained emergency response teams should be provided. So let's discuss about GHS. Explosives, self-reactives, organic peroxides. An explosive substance or a mixture is a solid or liquid that is in itself capable by chemical reaction of producing gas at such a temperature and pressure and at such a speed as to cause damage to the surroundings. Example of which urea nitrate, xylitol pentanitrate, picric acid, 1,3,5-trinitrobenzene, TNT, and polyvinyl nitrate. Self-reactive substances and mixtures are thermally unstable liquids or solids liable to undergo a strongly exothermic thermal decomposition even without participation of oxygen or air. Example of which those with weak and or strained bonds, acetylides, acetylene, azides, metal sodium azide, nonmetal organic. Azo compounds, diazo compounds, epoxides, high nitrogen compounds, tetrazoles, nitrides, nitroso compounds. An examples of self-reactive substances and mixtures. Chemicals that can be polymerized, such as monomers. Unsaturated carbon bonds, nitrile groups, vinyl groups, cyanate groups. Chemicals with high oxygen content, nitro group substituted organics, organic nitrates, and organic nitrites. An organic peroxide is an organic liquid or solid which contains a bivalent OO structure and may be considered a derivative of hydrogen peroxide, where one or both of the hydrogen atoms have been replaced by organic radicals. Alkyl or arene hydroperoxides (ROOH) or dialkyl peroxide, ROOR1, are the most common types of organic peroxides used in the laboratory. Other classes of peroxides include acyl peroxide, polyperoxide, peroxyesters, alkylidene peroxides, carboxylic acid, and cyclic peroxides. For flammables, self-reactives, pyrophorics, self-heating, emitting flammable gas in contact with water, and organic peroxides. It shows the pictogram for GHS. Flammable gas means a gas having a flammable range with air at 20 degrees Celsius and a standard pressure of 101.3 kPa. Hydrogen, butane, methane, and ethylene are examples of flammable gases. Flammable aerosols are any gas compressed, liquefied, or dissolved under pressure within a non-refillable container made of metal, glass, or plastic, with or without a liquid, paste, or powder. Flammable aerosols include spray paints and adhesives. Spray paints and aerosol solvents should be used with caution in order to avoid accidental ignition by a heat source or open flame. Empty aerosol cans should not be thrown on fire as there is a risk of explosion. Flammable liquid means a liquid having a flash point of not more than 93 degrees Celsius. Example of which ethyl acetate, acetaldehyde, acetone, benzene, carbon disulfide, cyclohexane, diethyl ether, ethyl alcohol, N-heptane, N-hexane, isopropyl alcohol, methyl alcohol, methyl ethyl, ketone, pentane, styrene, toluene, and p-xylene. Flammable solids are solids that are readily combustible or may cause or contribute to fire through friction. Example of which is 1,3,5-trioxane and cerium, camphor and aluminum powder, cerium, lutetium, silicon powder, neodymium in some forms, and aluminum granules, 1,3,5-trioxane, methaldehyde, hexamethyltetramine, nitrocellulose, flares, thermite, paraformaldehyde, naphthalene or mothballs, and camphor. Readily combustible solids are powdered, granular, or pasty substances which are dangerous if they can be easily ignited by brief contact with an ignition source, such as a burning match, and if the flame spreads rapidly. Self-reactive substances and mixtures are thermally unstable liquids or solids liable to undergo a strongly exothermic thermal decomposition even without participation of oxygen or air. Example of which is acetylides, acetylene, acid metal sodium acide, non-metal organic, azo compounds, diazo compounds, epoxides, high nitrogen compounds, tetrazoles, nitrides, nitrosol compounds, unsaturated carbon bonds, nitrile compounds, vinyl groups, cyanate groups, nitro groups, substituted organics, organic nitrates, organic nitrites. A pyrophoric liquid is a liquid which even in small quantities is liable to ignite within 5 minutes after coming into contact with air. Example of which is metals, alkyl, aryl, vinyl carbonyls or hydrides such as third-butyl-lithium, ethyl ether, tetrahydrofuran, THF, pentane, or heptane. A pyrophoric solid is a solid which even in small quantities is liable to ignite within 5 minutes after coming into contact with air. Example of which is lithium are often alkali metals and stored under kerosene or oil. A self-heating substance or a mixture is a solid or liquid liquid other than a pyrophoric liquid or solid, which, by reaction with air and without energy supply, is liable to self-heat. These hazard class differ from a pyrophoric substance in that a self-heating substance or mixture will ignite only when in large amounts, in kilograms, and after a long period of times, hours or days. Example of which is self-heating and self-ignition of sawdust, grain, chemical waste, industrial dust, oily rugs, and wood charcoal. Substances that in contact with water emit flammable gases are solids or liquids which, by interaction with water, are liable to become spontaneously flammable or to give off flammable gases in dangerous quantities. Example of which are alkali metals, sodium, lithium, etc. Metal hydrides, sodium hydride, lithium hydride, etc. Complex metal hydrides, lithium aluminum hydride, sodium aluminum hydride, and calcium carbide. Oxidizers. The GHS symbol is presented on screen. Oxidizing gas are any gas that may, generally by providing oxygen, cause or contribute to the combustion of other material more than air does. Example of which is an oxygen. The elemental gases, chlorine and fluorine, nitrous oxide, dinitrogen tetroxide, oxygen difluoride, and chlorine trifluoride. An oxidizing liquid is a liquid which, while itself is not necessarily combustible, may, generally by yielding oxygen, cause or contribute to the combustion of other material. Example of which is ammonium perchlorate, bromine, chromic acid, bibenzoyl peroxide, hydrogen peroxide, perchloric acid, sodium perchlorate, chlorates, nitrates, and permanganates. An oxidizing solid is a solid which, while it itself not necessarily combustible, may generally, by yielding oxygen, cause or contribute to the combustion of other material. Examples are oxysalts such as potassium permanganate, sodium nitrate, sodium persulfate, and other nitrates, nitrites, and chlorates. Inorganic peroxides include alkaline metal peroxides and transition metal peroxides. Gases under pressure. Gases under pressure are gases that are contained in a receptacle at a pressure of 200 kPa gauge or more, or which are liquefied and refrigerated. Examples are compressed gases such as hydrogen, liquefied gases such as propane and anhydrous ammonia, refrigerated liquefied gases such as liquid nitrogen, dissolved gases such as acetylene. Acute toxicity, the GHS symbol presented on the screen. Acute toxicity refers to those adverse effects occurring following oral or dermal administration of a single dose of a substance or multiple doses given within 24 hours or an inhalation exposure of 4 hours. Example of which is benzyl chloride, dimethyl disulfide, sulfur monochloride, acrylyl chloride, bromine, iodine, dichloroacetylene, dimethyl sulfide, serine, and tetranitromethane. For acute toxicity, skin irritants, eye irritants, and skin sensitizers. Skin irritation means the production of reversible damage to the skin following the application of a test substance up to 4 hours. Example of which is ferric chloride. Serious eye damage means that the production of tissue damage in the eye or serious physical decay of vision following application of a test substance to the front surface of the eye, which is not fully reversible within 21 days of application. Example, ferric chloride, sodium hydroxide, and hydrochloric acid. Eye irritation means changes in the eye following the application of a test substance to the front surface of the eye, which are fully reversible within 21 days of application. Example, ethyl acetate and sodium hydroxide. Skin sensitizer means a substance that will induce an allergic response following skin contact. Example, isocyanates, nickel salts, beryllium compounds, formaldehyde, and cyzomethane. Carcinogens, respiratory sensitizers, reproductive toxicants, target organ toxicants, germ cell mutagens. Carcinogen means a substance or a mixture that induces cancer or increases its incidence. Example of which is arsenic, asbestos, benzene, bisphenol A, BPA, chromium hexavalent compounds, dioxin, formaldehyde, polybrominated diphenyl ethers, PBDEs, polycyclis aromatic hydrocarbons, PAH, and vinyl chloride. Respiratory sensitizer means a substance that induces hypersensitivity of the airways following inhalation of the substance. Reproductive toxicity includes adverse effect on sexual function and fertility in adult males and females, as well the developmental toxicity in offspring. All significant health effects not otherwise specifically includes in the GHS that can be impaired function, both reversible and irreversible, immediate and or delayed, are included in the non-lethal specific target organ toxicity class STOT. The slide presents a target organ toxicity table. On the first slide, we have the target organ, which such as liver, kidney, nervous system, blood, lung, reproductive system, skin, and eye, or the vision. And when exposed on those toxicitants on the third column, you can have these signs and symptoms found in the second column. Mutagen means an agent giving rise to an increased occurrence of mutation in populations of cells and or organisms. Example of which is physical mutagens such as ionizing radiation, X-rays, gamma rays, alpha particles. Ultraviolet radiations greater than 260 nanometers. Radioactive decay. DNA reactive chemicals such as alkylating agents, aromatic amines, bromine, benzene, base analogs, intercalating agents such as ethidium bromide, metals such as arsenic, cadmium, chromium, nickel, biological agents such as transposon, virus, and bacteria. Eye corrosion is the production of tissue damage in the eye or serious physical decay or vision following application of the test substance to an anterior surface of the eye, which is not fully reversible within 21 days of application. Skin corrosion means the production of irreversible damage to the skin following the application of a test substance up to 4 hours, example of which is sodium hydroxide. A substance or a mixture that by chemical action will materially damage or even destroy metals is termed corrosive to metals, such as ferric chloride and hydrochloric acid. Aquatic toxicity, hazardous to the ozone layer. Acute aquatic toxicity means that intrinsic property of a material to cause injury to an aquatic organism in a short-term exposure, such as hydrochloric acid. Chronic aquatic toxicity means the potential or actual properties of a material to cause adverse effects to the aquatic organisms during exposures that are determined in relation to the life cycle of the organism. Hazardous to the ozone layer. Ozone depleting potential (ODP) is an integrative quantity distinct to each halocarbon source species that represents the extent of ozone depletion in the stratosphere expected from the halocarbon on a mass-for-mass basis relative to CFC 11. The Montreal Protocol is the list of the substances that damage the ozone layer, which such as chlorofluorocarbons, halogens, CCl4 or carbon tetrafluoride, CH3CCl3 or methyl chloroform, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, HCFC, hydrobromofluorocarbons, HBFC, methyl bromide, and bromochloromethane. Miscellaneous dangerous goods. Miscellaneous dangerous goods are substances and articles during transport present a danger or hazard not covered by other classes. This class encompasses, but it is not limited to environmentally hazardous substances that are transported at elevated temperatures, miscellaneous articles, and substances, genetically modified organisms and microorganisms, and depending on the method of transport, magnetized materials and aviation regulated substances. Commonly transported miscellaneous dangerous goods: dry ice, card ice, solid carbon dioxide, lithium ion batteries, lithium metal batteries, battery powered equipment, battery powered vehicles, fuel cell engines, internal combustion engine vehicles, magnetized material. Dangerous goods in apparatus, dangerous goods in machinery, genetically modified organisms, genetically modified microorganisms, chemical kits, first aid kits, life-saving appliances, airbag modules, seatbelts pretensioners, plastic molding product, castor bean plant products, polychlorinated biphenyl, polychlorinated terphenyls, dibromo difluoromethane, benzyl aldehyde. Infectious. Infectious substances are substances which are known or are reasonably expected to contain pathogens. Pathogens are defined as microorganisms including bacteria, viruses, rickettsia, parasites, fungi, and other agents such as prions which can cause disease in humans or animals. Radioactive. Radioactive substances are unstable elements emitting ionizing particles in the form of the following radiation: alpha He2 plus ion, and can be stopped by A4 piece of paper, still harmful at least dangerous. Beta electron or positron emission can be stopped by aluminum plate. Gamma rays can be damped by lead, extremely hazardous, run the other way if gamma radiation is around. The reason they are harmful to human beings is because they can either alter the structure of DNA and the building blocks of life, cells, etc. And in the case of gamma radiation, can kill a human being if exposed to high enough radiation for a short period of time. Safety Data Sheet or SDS. The Safety Data Sheet or SDS, the GHS drop, the word material, the Material Safety Data Sheet is specifically aimed at use in the workplace. It should provide comprehensive information about the chemical product that allows employers and workers to obtain concise, relevant, and accurate information in the perspective to the hazards. It uses the risk management of the chemical product in the workplace. 16th section of SDS to include the following headings in the order specified. Identification. hazards identification, composition or information on ingredients, first aid measures, firefighting measures, accidental release measures, handling and storage, exposure control or personal protection, physical and chemical properties, chemical stability and reactivity, toxicological information, ecological information, disposal considerations, transport ID information, regulatory information, and other information. Thank you for listening and good day.